This is a beautiful stretch of the Esopus Creek, and this is where I grew up. The people who lived here in prehistoric or prehistory culture, they were Lenape Indians. Their culture was the oldest of the Algonquian cultures. It used to be said that when the Haudenosaunee or Iroquois and Mohican, the other Algonquin culture, would come upon a Lenape person, they would greet them as Machusik, which meant hello, grandfather. And the last band of Lenapes, they were the people who sold the land to the English governor in 1672, around there. Probably people were living along this creek 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years ago. And maize and beans were introduced by the Western Indians, by the Haudenosaunee, in mid-14th century. They were sedentary people and lived off the streams in the summer. In the fall, they would migrate towards the foothills for the larger animals. And in our area, the culture was across from the beach in that bowl-shaped area, probably composed of more than one tribe, but the largest one lived along the water. The guesstimate on population of Indians in the Hudson Valley was 8,000 to 10,000 during the 16th century. The decline of the population of the Native Americans in the 17th century was basically due to the arrival of the Europeans. And over the 40 years after Henry Hudson arrived, the Native American population in the Hudson Valley was reduced by about 90%. The Europeans brought new forms of disease, things that the Indians never had or never knew about, the common cold, for example. And really the first to die were the leaders of the tribes, so that the tribes became decentralized or did not have a leadership structure to fall back upon. The bulk of the Esopus Indians were forced to leave or killed off after 1665, when the Second Esopus War was negotiated by Peter Stuyvesant. There was some warring among the Indians themselves over who could control the trade. But the trade also kind of instituted their demise, because the principal animal that was harvested in the trade was the beaver. And the beaver was the mythical earth brother. And it may be apocryphal, but I think it makes sense in a spiritual way. The dissolution of a certain worldview that went with the killing of the beavers. Let me read to you from a little piece. Religion was inseparable from ecology. Europeans arriving in the Hudson Valley stepped into a physical world incapable of dialogue or communication. Yet the same world to the Indian was vibrant with an active spirituality. The cognizance of humans was shared by bears, turtles, wolves. Trees had thought, language, magic powers. The sun was the elder brother. The earth, moon, wind, and other aspects of nature cherished also as relatives. These notions were as real to the Native Americans as Christ's resurrection was to the Europeans. Dutch were Calvinists. They saw things in black and white in terms of their own religion. And they had no concept that people could have any other form of spiritual life or way to exist.